Welcome to the What's Up Verdict podcast, where we fashion ourselves cinematic judge and jury. My name is JJ Crowder. I'm here with my co-hosts Matts and Heiner,
Better read than dead,
and Alec Burgess.
Let's get it.
We appreciate you tuning in. Go ahead, hit that follow, subscribe, like, bell notification buttons. Hit all those buttons. I hope you keep up with our episodes. Help support the podcast. Help it grow. Also, helping it grow will be telling your friends and family members about us. And tell some ranchers about us, maybe. We're okay with any kind of rancher. It doesn't just have to be cattle ranchers, but maybe not PTSD-driven sons of ranchers. That would be good. But, yeah, we're here week two. Week two, that's crazy to even think about, right? It is week two, or is this week one?
It's week two.
Week two.
Yeah, week two. We did
Or
7.
is it week three?
Is it week 3? It's week 3.
It is week 3. Yeah, because we did Ocean
Sevens and Oceans, yeah.
Yeah, jeez. See what happens? I get all twisted up. Yeah, it's week 3 of Brad Pitt's September. And we're diving deep. And we are talking about Legends of the Fall. It was released January 13th, 1995. It was written by Susan Shilladay and William Whitliff. It was directed by Edward Zwick. It stars Brad Pitt, Anthony Hopkins, Aidan Quinn, Julia Ormond, Henry Thomas, Karina Lombard, Tantu Cardinal, Gordon Tutusis, Paul Desmond, Christina Pickles, Robert Wisden, and John Novak. It is about, in the early 1900s, 3 brothers and their father living in the remote wilderness of Montana are affected by betrayal, history, love, nature, and war. Boy, that's quite the synopsis. Yeah. This was my movie. So I guess I get to kick this whole deal off.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, look, when I think about Brad Pitt movies, and I know we talked about 7, and there's some others bangers coming that we talk about, but this is probably the first movie that I think of when someone says Brad Pitt. It was one of those movies that, like, I went to, and I remember going to it thinking, I don't know how I'm going to feel about this. Like, and I went on a date with, man, it was a long time ago.
Tell us, Jay, how old were you in 1995?
14. So.
I was 4.
Yeah.
That was 2.
I was just saying, yeah. It's funny. Yeah, that's yeah. We went and saw it because everybody's like, "Ooh, Brad Pitt's so dreamy," and of course, Anthony Hopkins and Aidan Quinn at the time he was popular enough that it was quite the draw as far as the cast went. And I remember sitting in that movie going, "This is not going to be my kind of movie." And 10 minutes in, I'm like, "Man, this is slow as balls." And then all of a sudden, I was like, "Okay, this movie's wild." And then it just kept getting wilder and wilder. And then I just kind of fell in love with it. And it's one of those movies that I can go back to anytime. So when Brad Pitt's name got thrown out as one of our lists and it got voted for, I was like, oh yeah, Legends of the Fall is ending up on this list. Cause it's to me, one of the better movies that has Brad Pitt in it. If not, like, probably on my list. It probably could be the best that I consider with Brad Pitt in it. So maybe not Brad Pitt's best, like, overall movie if you're just talking Brad Pitt in general, but movies that have Brad Pitt in it that I think it's up there for me really, really high. Yeah, I just really like it. And I'm sure we'll talk more about why, but yeah, that's why it's on this list, because this one really sticks out for me. Had you guys seen this one before?
I had not.
There's a character called the One Stab. Of course,
I was going to say, I figured Alec had, but
what's funny, I knew what this. I mean, I'd seen the cover of this movie many times. I have a movie playlist that I sometimes, well, more than sometimes, I listen to quite a bit when I'm trying to focus. And the main theme song from this movie is on there. Incredible. I mean, you talk about one of probably the best. I mean, I hear the song all the time. I've always known, okay, this is the movie it came from. I just never had gotten around to watching it, but incredible song. And so definitely hit some vibes for me when that came on. It's slow. I have to say that, but as we'll talk about outside of it, I think there's much to be commended. And like I always say, I love a movie that has a realistic ending. I mean, this movie definitely doesn't shy away from how things probably would have been in more ways than one. So I can appreciate it for that. But I think that certainly the pace is like, whew, like at times, but it's kind of how life moved back then too. So it's probably true to times anyway. So I don't know if that's going to hinder how I completely feel about it, but yeah, it was a little long. But first time watched through, I mean, I was happy to have watched it for sure. Like, I mean, great acting. I love that time period. Just, I mean, I'm sure the girls liked it. Brad Pitt with longer hair, like dreamy dude on screen.
It's very fair.
I don't know if the sex scene would have quite looked like that back in the day. That felt a little Hollywoodized, but you know, we do what we do.
Yeah, 90s sex scenes were very glamorous and beautiful.
And I'm pretty sure they probably got pregnant potentially, so that would have made things harder back then. I don't know how they were. You just every time you had sex, you're like, I think we might have another person to help us on the farm. Maybe, maybe not.
I mean, I'm sure they knew about the pull-out method back then. Even
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure.
you're obviously not the most secure way to protect yourself, but shit works.
Dangerous game.
Yeah, it's fair. It's a weird side story, but that works.
Yeah, we're gonna educate our audience on sexual education here, except our audience.
Nobody should come to us for sex ed.
No, definitely not.
No.
Let me just chalk that up to a topic we never expected to talk about on this podcast. You know, that's what I'm here for.
I mean, we've talked about dolphin sex, but
that's true. But that movie invited that though. That wasn't completely out of left field.
Yeah. All right, Alec. What about when did you first see Legends of the Fall?
Oh, probably 12 or 13. That's when I first saw it. And it's one of those I don't watch enough. But they do a really good job with certain scenes in this. But those very same scenes, I almost feel like they go too far. Like when Samuel dies, right? Their brother. I was like, great scene, real gut wrencher. But you freaking mustard gassed this dude and then lined up a machine gun on his face.
Yeah.
It's like you could have gotten your point across without needing to go there, in my opinion. So it's a hard one because there's just like 4 or 5 of these really big, like, you didn't have to go there to get your point across scenes, but you went there anyway, which makes it a little bit more of a, not really a drag, but a tougher watch. So I go a bit in between, but it's really good storytelling. I like the storytelling in this movie. It does a very good job with that. So it's always one that when I sit down to watch it, I have a good time. And I enjoy the fact that I sat down and watched it. Maybe not have a good time while I'm watching it, but
yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those where it's always a solid watch, and I'll sit down and watch it pretty much anytime, anywhere. I love this movie.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I want to ask the time period between when Tristan left to when he came back. They obviously don't give an amount of time. How much time do we feel like it was? A couple of years, more than like 5 years, 8 years, like.
I mean, it had to have been a good long while because when they were talking about Isabel 2, she was, what'd they say, 19 when they got married.
And she was like 13, 12.
Yeah, as I say, when he leaves, she couldn't have been more than 12 or 13. So it had to have been at least like 6 to 8 years, probably, depending, 6, 7 years.
Dude, just up and leave.
Yeah.
Go find yourself.
Yeah. Go to all the places.
And just leave that missus behind.
Yeah. You do what you do, right? Like, I think that's where, like, Alec, you mentioned that the storytelling in this is crazy and, like, it's wild. And the whole, like, obviously you see early on, Tristan's no stay at home, hang out at the ranch kind of guy, but like you add in the whole self-loathing, like torture, like PTSD, like you add that in, and I don't know how he stood still for any amount of time. You know what I mean? And then every time things started to feel like they were going to turn around, like some shit happened to this dude. And then like you get that moment where he's talking to his dad at the end and starts talking about the fact that he cursed God, and then so he's cursed, and it's just like you piece together like what this dude's been living with. Like you see it, right? The major moments, but like that self-loathing and like regret of having not been there, and then doing what you think caused all these curses around you. Like, man, it's so crazy to think about the damage internally and like emotionally that he had been doing to himself constantly. And then you have to also wonder on the flip side, like if he had just sat still, right? Like, okay, so you can't get past his brother dying. That was out of his control at the end of the day. But after that, like he had a couple of moments where he probably could have just, I mean, stayed and then couldn't handle it. Like it's just, yeah, it's tough. It's a tough watch. It's an emotional movie. I think that's one of the things that I like the most about it is like, it's hard to watch that and not like feel some shit one way or another. You know what I mean? And everything from like sadness to like, you know, a little bit of joy for him, but at the same time, like anger, good Lord. Like there's very little more satisfying than when the dude gets impaled by the pitchfork in the freaking bootleg shed after they killed Isabel. Man, that's crazy. I love that part. Like him stalking the dude, and then the dad, like sniping down the other cop in the middle of nowhere. Like, yeah, that's one of those crazy. All those scenes where Tristan goes nuts, you're just like, get him. Like you do. That's not the dude that you want to have pissed off, like at
Did
all.
they aim to kill Isabel, or was it a ricochet?
It was a ricochet.
I felt, yeah, it was a ricochet, but obviously they didn't quite seem to care.
Yeah. Well, and it's that there is that moment too, like when they first realized that Isabel was shot and he's losing it. Like you see the look on Big Brother O'Bannon's face, and he's like, "Ah, God damn it," because it's not going to end well. But I think one of the other things that gets me is like the relationship between the two older brothers with Albert and Tristan, and like that level of blame and entire like toxic relationship due to, I mean, it's, and they mention it in the movie. Tristan is old and Andy's old, that book story. And like, obviously this is a modernized, even more twisted version of that to a degree, but man, that's a tough one. And then like when he comes after the funeral, he's like, they're going to come get you and you're going to go to jail, even though there's nothing happening to this cop and whatnot. Like, man, what a mess. Just so much going on in this movie that you have to like wade through. It's another movie that like, I'm like, I can't watch this all the time, but it's such a good movie. And Anthony Hopkins, good Lord. I love him in this movie so much. Like, and this is another one that like, I talk a lot about Anthony Hopkins and how much he's got to be one of my favorite actors of all time. But like, this is one of those ones where you see him on all fronts and like all he's trying to do is like protect his family. And then I love, like, I always think of Alec now whenever he talks about like he hates the government. Like when they have that shouting, he's like, fuck the government. Screw him. He's fucking half of the bag after his stroke and he's flipping him off barely. Like, I always think of Alec, like, screw the government.
Where do you think I got it from?
Yeah.
It's gonna be Alec as an old man.
That's right. That's right.
I like Anthony Hopkins this too, because it's like they turned him loose almost. Where he typically plays almost like a really uptight but very proper characters. And on occasion they'll let him loose, and this is one where they pretty much let him loose. Yeah, he does such a good job.
Oh yeah,
to really showcase his acting talent, because it's almost like he's one of those people where you can't really direct him. You just kind of point him where you want him to go, and wherever he ends up is where your movie needs to be. And so I feel like the cutting them loose, especially after his character has a stroke and just crazy old man going, it's beautiful.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and the way he plays that, like just that impacted stroke, survivor, just like I love it. He always, hey, like he's always shouting at people. I love it. I love Anthony Hopkins though. Like and you can see his method. I don't know. I'm sure I've talked about it with you guys, but like his method, listening to him like do interviews, like he talks about when he gets a script, he memorizes it to the point of ridiculousness, because then it becomes second nature and he can focus on the emotional part of it or the little nuances. And you see that a lot in this movie. Like I always think of the scene where Tristan's back and they go the first time and they go to the bar and the guy won't give him 4 beers and Tristan loses his shit. And his dad, like Anthony Hopkins, gets after him, pins him against the wall, right? And like calls out what's going to happen, like tells him to chill. And then he doesn't say a word the rest of the fucking scene, but you get that the facial expressions and the way that he's acting. Like he sees that Tristan is like broken, and it doesn't matter what he says to Tristan. Tristan's going to do his thing as he's sitting there drinking the beer after he beat the shit out, and then held up the bar guy enough to make him pour the beer. It's so fucked up. But like Anthony Hopkins' performance within that scene alone, like to me is just like it's so good to watch, because after he stops, he doesn't say another word, but man, does his face say a lot about what he's seeing from his son and like, his favorite son and most troubled son. And like, it's just, wow. Yeah. So good. The acting in this movie is outrageously good across the board. But why is it always, go ahead, man.
Heart-wrenching. I was going to say, what's the most heart-wrenching scene for each of you? I need to think what rocked me the most. I mean, there's his old wife with his brother. There's, the PTSD with his little brother getting murdered. There's his Isabel getting shot, Isabel 2. Realizing his dad had a stroke. There's probably something else I should name in there too, but just a lot in a life.
What about you, Alec?
Oh, I was gonna say grave, when he's crying at Samuel's grave. That's one, because it's really, really good acting by Brad Pitt.
Yeah,
like he does a great job there, and you can really see just how broken Tristan is past the crooked smile and the front he's put up for it. And you get him alone, you can see that he is just not really holding anything together. He's broken beyond almost that point repair.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt does such a good job just like showcasing that. So that's one for me.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough question, because like the one that always comes to mind first is Samuel's death. Like, and again, after he's dead, like watching Brad Pitt's character, Tristan, like cut out his heart so that he could send it home, and then like goes nuts. But I think the one that is even more poignant to me in the heart-wrenching piece is as he's getting his revenge for Isabel 2, having to watch why can't I think of her name now? The girl that causes all the problems. Why can't I think of her name? Elizabeth?
Susanna,
that's right. Watching Susanna have her breakdown because Tristan's back, and she's recognizing that she would have never gone through life the way she is right now if he had never left, like, and then cutting her hair and then eventually taking her own life. Like that to me is probably the most heart-wrenching, because he's doing what he needs to do for the life that had grounded him finally. And he'd moved on from some of his mistakes and was trying to, find that peace and move forward. That was taken from him. So he gets his revenge. And at the same time, him coming back, finding peace, has created this alarming dissatisfaction and recognition of her unhappiness within Susanna. And so like that whole juxtaposition of these two places, of these two people just being destroyed internally by each other and what came of where they were at because of each other. And then on top of that, the fallout for Albert and for Alfred, and then like the rest of the family because of all this stuff. Like to me, like that's the peak. It's the climax of the film, if you will, and also the climax, like for me, of like an emotional, heart-wrenching moment. Because
Yeah, you actually,
all those things
I
that come
was gonna
together.
say the same two things when Susanna takes her own life, and then the scene where Alfred, like, what does he say? He doesn't like me even now, or after all this time, or whatever he says. And then finally, you've seen a little bit of it. There is the emotional uplift when they kind of have their moment finally. But yeah, just putting yourself in Susanna's shoes, like you tried to move on, you thought you moved on, and then what is it, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, whatever it is, because you never had closure because she was holding on for years, writing letters to herself and holding out hope. And Tristan, I mean, yeah, he had PTSD. It was not given a full, you can't give him a full pass. He was also just a complete dick. He just upped and left and effectively said nothing, and she was trying to be loyal and hold on, and then at some point had to decide to it's never that I clearly she never fully moved on, but went in a different direction might be the better phrase, and did that. And then I'm sure she had all these feelings when he came back and realized he's here, he seems sane, but I'm with his brother, he's now with this girl, and why is that not me? Like, what the hell? And then she clearly went through all that to let her to take her own life. And that's just super sad. And you put yourself in the oldest brother's shoes, and I mean, you just want your dad to like you. You just want your dad to respect you. And he tried to do good things for the family. I mean, he's a dick at times, but he's also well-charactered and tried to look after his family. And thankfully he got some of that towards the end, but that would be really hard. And being a part of seeing your wife die because you knew that she just wanted to be with your little brother, and a lot of family drama right there.
Yeah.
But that's life. I mean, you think about, we've had a...
That's not life. You're living.
I've had a hard thing in my life, and I'm sure there'll be another. Like, there's just things that people get hit with, and you try to make sense of it and move forward. But man, sometimes you feel like some people just get dealt the worst hand. You can never get out of it.
Yeah, I think that's where, like, I feel you when you say that the movie has, like, it's slow paced, because it is. But I think what helps me get past that is the fact that this movie is very deliberate with every scene that it has. And I think that's one of the reasons that I enjoy it as much as I do as a whole, is that every scene has something to add to someone's emotional state in this movie. Sometimes it's more than one character. And so I can live with the slow because I'm watching these little pieces of life that are creating emotional distress, maybe helping relieve some of that distress, or at least giving that false sense of security that we've moved on and we're okay. Like, those scenes, like, are very, like, powerful in the grand scheme of things to where we get. And I feel like in a lot of places in a lot of movies we talk about, that there's places where I'm like, I didn't need that for this movie to hit the way that it does. Cut out 10 minutes here, 5 minutes there. I can't really think of a lot of places. I mean, there's probably a couple small places in this movie, but I can't think of a lot of the content that you could cut in this movie that doesn't in some way, shape, or form, like, impact the overarching storytelling piece of it, or the character development of one of these, like, 5 or 6 main characters that we need to see how they're impacted. Like, I think you could cut back maybe a little bit on the letter writing piece from Susanna to Tristan while he's off and gone, but I also don't know, because it really demonstrates the distress that she's in, and, like, the fact that she's practically begging him to come back up until the point that she gets that letter. And then you see her sitting on the rocking chair in that moment, just absolutely crushed, to the point that she doesn't even say anything to Albert or Alfred when he's there. It's just like, man. So I don't know. Like, I think that's one of the other things that I think about this movie, is it is it's very much a character-driven storytelling movie with some really exciting parts in the middle. But yeah, I don't know what I would cut in this film because I worry about it messing with the integrity of the story and the character development. But yeah, it is slow. I mean, it is very, very storytelling, character-driven stuff. So I can feel that.
The music helps, though. Love the music.
Yeah, the
So
music
good.
is really good.
So good.
I love too that they filmed on location, like they're up there in the middle of nowhere, Montana, and you can tell, like it's there.
Montana's beautiful.
They're
I've
out
been there,
there.
but I'm like, ooh, there's not a lot in Montana. Dang,
No.
beautiful. Skies beautiful, but it's a little too remote for me. It's been some spots you're driving on the freeway, and there's gas stations few and far between. If you had a bad running, you'd be like, you ain't be getting help for a long time.
Yeah. No, yeah, Montana is one of the few places left that have like untouched land, and it's gorgeous up there.
It is, yeah.
I always get intrigued too by the political nature of this movie. Like there's a lot of political underpinnings in this movie. Like we talk about the native and obviously settlers at that time, like that relationship. And like you see, it's interesting to watch that progression. And it's, it's one of those things that could spark a massive debate that there's always someone to hate for some stupid ass reason. Right. Like, and it's interesting that you see it a lot in this movie. And how that plays out. But yeah, there's just a lot going on with this movie too. Things like that. And you get to see some of like, and I love that it's coming from Stab, like the story's coming from old man Stab sitting as he's dying, you know what I mean? Like, and so he's telling this story to his kids, grandkids, whoever it might be, about Tristan and the colonel, and like it's just an interesting way to tell that story. And we'll talk about this in one of the other movies that we record for this month, but like there is a little narration there, but I think that narration actually moves this movie forward in a very good way, where a lot of times I'm like, oh my god, stop talking. But this one, I think I really like the way that it's done, especially the final monologue, like at the end of the movie where he's talking about after they came together to get rid of the O'Bannons and the cops and whatnot, and Tristan goes off and disappears to keep everybody. And like that whole, I never thought he'd live long and very long, but it's the people around him that all died young. And like the impact that he had, and then just him fighting a bear. What a great
They were
in the movie.
A rock that he was the rock they all broke against is how he said it. The bear scene at the end, I liked it, but it also, it was kind of like the imagery of like the graininess, the way they cut it and everything. I don't know. I didn't like that. It was a little odd to me in the camera choices for me personally. It just felt, I was like, well, could we not pay Brad Pitt to like fight a bear with make him look a little bit older or something? Like what's with this like blurry blonde haired? I don't know. It took me out of it a little bit because I was thinking about that instead of like feeling the moment of it ending.
Oh, how podcasts ruin our viewing pleasure the way we used to watch movies.
Sure.
That was just 1995. Like they were like, we'll make this work. The first time I saw it, I was like, wait, did they get Anthony Hopkins to fight a bear like that? Because that's what I first thought. I was like, oh no, it's just some stunt dude. But
yeah, it was interesting. But I mean, a cool way for him to go out. Like it felt very fitting. It was just
yeah.
We'll be nitpicky. It's what we do here.
Sure. Yeah, I like the full circle moment. Like we start off being introduced to Tristan as a character getting in a fight with a bear, and then he goes out in a fight with a bear. And then in the middle of it, we see that moment where it's the same fucking bear that he's got wearing his toe around his neck his whole life, but he lets it live. So, I just, like I said, the imagery of this movie and the storytelling and like the foreshadowing and like all of the interconnected pieces, it's very impressive if you sit down and watch it and look for those, like all that connective tissue that this movie has. Like, I think it's one of the reasons that I really enjoy the movie as a whole. But yeah, it's good stuff. Should we rate it?
Let's do it.
All right, I'll go first. I'm going to give it a 5. I think in terms of storytelling and acting and writing and, you know, even Mattson mentioned it, music and like visuals, even though there are some weird grainy shots in it at a couple of moments. But like, I just think from a storytelling movie perspective and a character development, character driven movie, I can't think of very many that do it better than this one. It's intriguing. The characters are interesting. They're flawed. That is one place where I'll give Mattson to say this is real life. Like, these aren't perfect people. In fact, they're very, very imperfect, to the point that you got the youngest that gets everybody in trouble because he's chasing glory like his dad. And his dad, ironically enough, loves him for his simplicity and the fact that he's kind-hearted and he's the best of them, right? And you got these two brothers that are grizzled in their own ways, in very different ways, and want the same. You know, the only one that doesn't want glory is the one that ends up being the most famous of the brother. You know, it's just this wild, huge storytelling, and these characters and actors that are in it take you through that story in a very, very meaningful way. And yeah, I'm just intrigued every time I watch it. Like, I can't take my eyes off the screen. And Brad Pitt, since we're in Brad Pitt month, absolutely kills it as the guy that carries this movie. And thankfully they got some very good actors to act against him, because yeah, he does a phenomenal job in this movie along with all of them. But yeah, I'm going to give it a 5. I think from a dramatic perspective, this is one of my top dramas that I will always grab and watch. Again, with some time in between to let the emotions cool off, because it's not an easy watch, because there's not very much happiness in this movie, but very good storytelling, very good movie. Mattson.
Whew. What am I going to give this movie? 4.5. I think the only reason is just pacing for me. It's one of those movies. We've done this a lot lately. Some good movies, but movies that require the emotional investment. This is definitely a movie. Certainly, you can't just pop in for 10 minutes or 10 minutes here. You gotta be in it, sit down in it, be in that world. And for that, definitely not something that I'll just return to right away. Also, probably need to be in a happy place while you're watching this. Not for the faint of heart. Maybe it'll help you appreciate your life a little bit more if you are going through a hard time, because certainly don't want Tristan's life or Susanna's life, or most of these people's lives. Also, probably just don't want to live in the 19th century. Like, maybe, sorry, not 19th, 20th century. Should back up there. 19th as well. You just appreciate the modern convenience and things that we have. And really good movie. I am happy to have watched it. Had never seen it. Obviously, I'd heard the music, but I'm sure I will watch it again. I will say that, like, it is definitely worth the second watch. It's just something I need some time in between. I'll take my 6 or 7 year hiatus, like Tristan. I'll come back and I'll watch it and be prepared. I'm sure I'll watch it before that, but it was a good movie.
All right, Alec, bring it home.
This is also going to be a 5 for me. I mean, so many things that I enjoy about this movie. It does go over the top, in my opinion, on a few places where it's like you didn't have to go so far to get your message across to that point. But I also love the fact that, you know, it's kind of the whole backdrop, or not the whole backdrop, but a large portion of the backdrop really is that the government's the problem, and prohibition is the catalyst for a lot of the shit that happens.
Mm-hmm.
But it's such an underlying theme that it just kind of simmers under the surface. And so, I mean, there's so much in this for me to love that I will go back and watch this pretty much any time, despite the fact that it is a heavy, heavy watch to sit through. But yeah, it's a 5 for me.
Nice. Well, there it is. That was a quick one, but it's a good movie. Alec, tell me where they can find us when they're not listening to us bitch at each other about movies.
Happy to. So thank you for tuning into week 3 of Brad Pitt September. It doesn't have the same.
Yeah, no alliteration. Damn it.
Son of a bitch. But yeah, this is week 3. You can find us on What's Our Verdict at YouTube, where you can see our smiling faces while we rib on each other. But other than that, the best place to follow us is on Patreon at What's Our Verdict Reviews. We have 550 plus, getting close to 600 little bits of content that are extra on Patreon. But in addition to that, Patreon is where we vote on movies. So we put up a list. You guys can come and vote for what you want us to watch and review. And the voting part is completely free. If you want a little bit of the extra content, it's going to cost you a couple bucks, but it's worth it. There is some full-length episodes on there, as well as bloops, reels, extras, us shit-talking each other, and just talking about life in general. So join us over there. It's a great laugh. Love to see you around. Special thanks to our patrons. Let's see, Rich and Charles still at it. Appreciate you guys and everything that you do. And with that, I will kick it back to the Colossus of Clout, the great Bambino, a JJ.
Yeah. Thanks, Alec. Yeah, Patreon's a lot of fun. Not to mention, if you hit a certain level, then that's why we call out Charles and Rich, because they still sit at the level where we shout them out every episode. So can also get that. Become What's Our Verdict famous. There you go.
Ooh, there we go.
Hey,
Hey.
you know, it's an important thing. As a certified man of the people, like, let me tell you, like, it's an honor.
That's right. That's right. And on that note, as always, we appreciate you tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one.
Wait.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Cinemagic out.
Whoa!